Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you how to essentially create the most powerful Fumulation Generator you can in Voltz, and I'm going to be walking you through why it's the most powerful, or at least the most power efficient, but also pretty much the most powerful. I think you can get a couple percent more if you use like 20% more resources, but this is actually, wait, no, because then you wouldn't get the ones on top. No, actually, no, this is more efficient than that design. So this is definitely the most efficient, and I'll explain why it's the most efficient right now. So the way that the Fumulation generators work is completely different from all the other generators in Voltz. Essentially, if you only connect one side to energy output, and then you throw antimatter into the water, what you'll see is you'll get roughly 500 kilojoules of energy from one Fumulation generator. It takes 20 seconds, just as long as the radiation does, in order to fill up. But you'll see you'll get roughly 500 kilojoules for one side of one Fumulation generator. But unlike all the other generators in Voltz, this doesn't just generate 500 kilojoules of power. What it does is for 20 seconds, all sides output some amount of power. It's just if it has been activated, all sides output power. So, even though you got 468 kilojoules, if you break this, put another one down, and put cables on all sides of the Fumulation generator, and connect it all through, you can get way more power out of your same explosive. No more Fumulation generators, only increasing the number of cables. I messed that up. Should still. Now you can see, we've already cleared 500 kilojoules. Same generator, but we're already into the 1 megajoule range, climbing into 1.5. It should end up around 3. 2.5, 2.8. There you go. Close to 3. So this is where I was doing some other experiments with dropping it in. It's the same. Even if you drop it in the sides, you just miss out on this, but you have to have the water bucket somewhere. And then I began testing with the range because the wiki says that there's only a 4-block range, which is a total lie because here's the 5th one out. It's got power. Here's the 6th one out. It has some power some of the time, depending on what side of the thing you drop it on. So 5 out. Okay, that's a lot better. Actually, no, the wiki says 3 to 4 depending on where you drop it, but it's 5 to 6. So it's 2 more than what the wiki says. So the wiki says to make a 7 by 7 cube, you can actually make like an 11 by 11, which is what this is. So, but it's not an 11 by 11 cube that gets activated. So instead, it's a sphere like this, and this was mapped out using a little apparatus right here because Fumulation generators will output their power directly into energy cubes, which makes this a really easy test to run. And then what you do is you fill this out. This is like at the end, so I only need to test here, but you sort of fill this out and you can guess that it's going to be symmetrical around in a circle because every direction is identical as long as you're dropping it right in the middle, which a dropper will do. And what you do is you test which Fumulation generators are active relative to where the water bucket is. So you can just scan the water bucket up and down, you can bring it up and down, and you can effectively map out the activated sphere of Fumulation generators. And once you've mapped this out, it's relatively easy to build a copy out of Fumulation generators, and then you want to bore holes in it. But I'll actually provide an Excel file which will show you the exact construction blueprints based off of what this is, rather than going through the sphere method. You can just directly construct the vertical columns and it'll tell you how much air to leave under it, and it'll tell you, where to put your cables and whatnot, But just in general, you want to make sure that every open face of the Fumulation generators on all sides have cables. And the reason you put boreholes down is so that one cable can be touching 4 Fumulation generators all the way down all of these. There's 433 generators in here, averaging more than 4 connections per generator, which is going to be a lot of power, to, to put it quite simply. So we've got a setup here with, as you can see, 8 empty ultimate energy cubes. And we're going to drop 1 gram of antimatter in, and the actual method on how to construct this, as I said, will be in the Excel document below, because showing the build is going to take 45 minutes and I'm not going to make you sit through that. So instead you can look at the Excel document and you can kind of compare to the video if you want to build one yourself. This is incredibly resource efficient for the amount of power you're going to generate, but it's very resource intensive overall. Like, it's a very expensive thing, but compared to how much power it generates, it's very cheap per joule, per second, per watt. It's a very cheap generator. So, to give you an idea of just how much power it's about to make. But that will go off, and you can essentially watch the power fill up. It's a lot of juice, because this is equally filling up every single ultimate energy cube here. So we're effectively, I hope we have enough space. Might have to retest this if this maxes out. Nope. Okay, perfect. It stopped 111.35 megajoules per ultimate energy cube. 111.35 times 8 is 890.8 megajoules of energy, which is a ton of energy for late game, for any point, considering that the antimatter only activates the Fumulation Generator for, what is it? It only activates it for 20 seconds, so you can drop antimatter in perfectly 3 times a minute. And if you can drop it in 3 times a minute, and you can do that 60 minutes in an hour, you have 160 essentially gigajoules per hour, which is insane. Or if you divide it by 3,600 seconds in an hour, you have essentially 44.5 megawatts of power output from this thing. 44.5 megawatts is the output power of this, which just absolutely destroys anything else. Except for like really large fusion reactors, but that's way more resources and way more time intensive, and actually that one would require multiple fusion reactors to run. That was the instant builder. It doesn't know how to do multiple. Anyways, all that I'm trying to say is the wiki says that the max you can generate is 16 megajoules off of a single gram of antimatter, and that is, as you can see, entirely wrong to an incredible degree. It's 50 times that. So, yeah, it probably needs to be changed, but I can't edit the page, so instead I'm making a video. And a video will probably get more traction than that dead wiki anyways. Alright, thanks for sticking around.